Coming up on this episode of Latinas, we'll celebrate Puerto Rican Heritage Month, Dominican Pride, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the only Emmy-nominated show that's all about nosotras, created by nosotras, and I'm Tinabeth Piña. Today, we're visiting an exhibit at the Godwin-Ternbach Museum inside Queens College called Quinceañera, Dress in Memory in Latina Culture. It features dresses that were part of actual Quinceañera celebrations dating back to the 1990s. We'll have more about this free public exhibition later in the show. But first, November is Puerto Rican Heritage Month, and we're about to meet Los Pleneros de la 21, an East Harlem-based nonprofit and Grammy award-winning ensemble that fosters awareness and appreciation of Bomba y Plena.
Bomba and Plena, they're often kind of mixed together like rice and beans. And yes, we do eat rice and beans together, but we know they're two different things and you can eat them separately. Bomba is considered one of the oldest living musical and cultural expressions of the new Americas. It is an expression that comes and essentially is creolized in Puerto Rico. It is a direct connection to our enslaved ancestors. It is an improvised dance form that is really meant to capture what we don't speak about with our words, but what we can tune into and tap into with our body and kind of the energy of the music and what we can release and talk through with those movements. The movements of the dancer is interpreted by one of the drummers in the musical composition of the band, and it's a beautiful thing. Plena, for all intents and purposes, is, I'll simply say it like this, it's the younger sister of Bomba. It essentially comes out of a different historical context. We're talking now early 20th century. It's in a moment in time in history where there's a sense of national identity of being considered Puerto Rican that is coming up. And it's rooted in the oral history and the messaging of a people, because it is the way for a community that didn't have access to resources, either for their stories to be heard or to document their stories, to tell their stories. Los Pleneros is an organization that was founded by my father in partnership with his mentor around 1982. My father, migrant from Puerto Rico in 1976, formally trained musician, and like many migrants coming into a new place, he just had a huge thirst and want for home. So he started looking for his community. The group formed 8 months after I was born. So that's all I ever knew. Sometimes the elders or my father would have meetings of the musicians or of the organization in our home. It was just part of our everyday reality. For the first few years of the history, they really existed as a performing ensemble. And in around early 90s, with the formalization and access of resources, we became a nonprofit organization dedicated to the education and transmission of Puerto Rican cultural expressions. It's a very exciting time for us as practitioners, as administrators, because of the work that has been seen right in the past 4 decades. And recently, I think it's a common trend that is coming up more and more within, I think, how Puerto Rican artists are creating an interesting blend of like popular culture and traditional cultural expressions. Por la mañana café, por la tarde ron. Bad Bunny is certainly our biggest example because his impact has been really profound, right? To know that you have the #1 album globally for who knows how long, and it has Bomba, Plena, and Salsa. As bomberos, as pleneros, we understand that if we don't teach, this music dies. It is something that is much larger than us, and it needs to live on to in others. We're making sure that the next generation understands connection to this music. That's the way we do our work, so that this can continue happening for the next 40 years.
Did you know that Bomba y Plena are defining musical sounds of the Afro-Puerto Rican population? Bomba dates back to the early 17th century enslaved Africans under European rule in Puerto Rico. It was a source of political and spiritual expression, and its lyrics were either catalysts for rebellions and uprisings or reasons to dance and celebrate. The music evolved through contact between slave populations from different Caribbean colonies and regions, including Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. As a result, Bomba now has 16 different rhythms. Bomba y Plena are more than music. They're proof that culture can survive and even resist long after colonialism. But colonization didn't just change art, it changed how people moved and who got to belong where. And systems that were set up then still affect us today, like immigration. Colombian-Peruvian lawyer Veronica Cardenas has worked inside that system for years, and now she's taking a fresh approach to justice. Here's Isabel Ortiz with the story.
Veronica Cardenas spent nearly 13 years on the front lines of America's immigration system as an ICE prosecutor. But immigration wasn't just her job, it was personal. The daughter of immigrant parents, she grew up witnessing both the promise and the pain of the system she would one day enforce.
My dad, through his family, was able to come as a lawful permanent resident. His family applied for him when he was 10, and he came to the U.S. at 17. And then my mother left Colombia because of a lot of violence at that time in the 80s. There was a nice immigration officer at the border that let my mom go. When I first started in 2010, I was in charge of litigating immigration cases before the immigration court. And then throughout time, I moved to be counsel to enforcement and removal operations, who is in charge of arresting, detaining, and deporting non-citizens from the U.S.
But over time, the cracks became impossible to ignore. According to Veronica, shifting administrations and increasingly aggressive enforcement blurred the line between justice and punishment.
In 2017, when Trump became president, that's when he really started to chip away at the due process under immigration and the substantive rights people had. So all the cases that we had closed under Obama, we had to reopen everybody up. Like, people had been now in the US for like an additional 8 years. It was madness in the courts. Like, people didn't know where to go. The hallways were crazy. People couldn't even fit in the courtrooms. It was very overwhelming. And when the system is overwhelmed, that's when administrative errors happen.
After the death of a child in U.S. custody, Veronica began to grapple with the human cost of the system she would work within. In 2023, she made the hardest decision of her career: to walk away.
There was Jacqueline Cal, who she was sick when she came to the border, but because she was with her father, she wasn't put on a bus immediately. She was made to wait. And she was vomiting, she had chills, and her father asked for help from CBP, from Customs and Border Protection, and they didn't give her help when she needed it. And so she passed away. That's when I was like, I cannot be part of this administration anymore.
Veronica knows the system from the inside. And now through her platform, Humanigration, she's using her knowledge to change immigration law practices.
When I was a new attorney, I remember how overwhelmed I felt in walking into court for the first time. I didn't know where to sit, how to address the judge, when to speak. If there's ever a doubt, you're always welcome to shadow me.
Immigration attorneys really needed help. So that's when I leaned in and I started teaching immigration law. And that has expanded because immigration is changing every day. Every day we have a new policy. Every day there's a new law. It's really insane. But the foundation of immigration is still the same.
Humanigration is mentorship in motion, a legal education platform where Veronica trains immigration attorneys through online courses, live coaching, and practical tips that turn complex laws into clear strategies.
I meet people where they are. It's not just a click through, you go through it. I'm really invested in the people that take the class. We've all become friends.
From ICE prosecutor to immigrant advocate, Veronica is reshaping the system, one case, one attorney, and one family at a time.
I think the biggest thing that is rewarding for me is building that trust with my client, because we may lose your case, and it's very hard to tell people that. I have to be honest with people right now and tell them that detention is a possibility. So how do I get my client to feel like they're in good hands, that I'm going to do everything in my power to help them? And for me, it's been that trust.
For LATiNAS, I'm Isabel Ortiz.
When you're a first or second generation Latina, finding a sense of identity can sometimes be tricky. So 4 Dominicanas are about to dish on navigating home, culture, community, and pride on today's Real Talk Sin Filtro.
Whenever professors ask, like, oh, like, tell me your name, where you from? And, you know, people mostly say, like, where they're coming from. Yeah. But I always take it as, where are you from? And I always mention to say, oh, yeah, like, I'm Afro and I'm Dominican. Yeah. Thank you.
Now that you mentioned that, that's a really hard question for me, because what are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm Dominican, but I live in Harlem.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that happens because, like, most of us were born over there. Yes. We grew up over there. So, like, whenever they ask that question, it's like, it takes you back.
Now coming to the United States, one thing that I almost lost was that prideness, because people here would tell me, oh, make sure that when you introduce yourself as if you're native from here. So don't start with, oh, you're from DR. Start with, oh, I'm from New York. Mm-hmm. And that is something that made me a little afraid when I was coming into college.
I relate to that so much, Pamela, because when I came here when I was like 11 and a half, almost 12. It was so difficult because I was like, oh my God, like none of these people speak Spanish. I feel like I didn't fit in, and I hated every day of my life. I cried every day. I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to go back. And then once I got to high school, where I met more students that were Dominican and Latin too, I was like, oh my God, like finally, like opening this feels good. And then also getting to Baruch and seeing like this amazing community that I didn't know we had, that gave me even more a sense of belonging. And I was like, oh my God, like I finally found my group of friends. Like this is definitely where I belong.
Okay, well, on the contrary to you guys, I came here really young. I came here when I was 3. So I literally picked up on that language like in months. Yeah. Like by the end of kindergarten, I was already speaking fluently English. Now is where I have like my real true group of like Dominican friends. Yeah. And I talk Spanish with you guys constantly, so that helps a lot. Because there was a specific comment that my cousin made. I think she said like there was like a specific saying, like slang, and I didn't understand. And she was like, tú sabes que aunque tú eres bien dominicanizada, tú también eres como muy americana. And that just made me like wonder, like I'm too Dominican to be American, but I'm too American to be Dominican. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And that kind of made me feel bad, and that it made me like work constantly to like be more in touch with my Dominican culture.
So when you guys go to the DR, does your family, like Scarlett's family, does your family ever be like, oh, tú no te sabes tu en español, or mock you because you speak English or something like that?
I personally, I thank God every day that I never had to experience that. I've never had to be like, I don't feel like I fit in because, like you said, I'm too American to be Dominican, but too Dominican to be American. And I think that's just by the way, like, my parents raised me, like, in my household, till this day, it's like still we're gonna talk Spanish.
Well, to me, it doesn't really happen because I came when I was old and I speak Spanish all the time. Also, I have been surrounded by Dominicans all the time. When I was in high school, besides AP classes, I took everything in Spanish because everyone was like Dominican or was from like Latin America. So I don't have the perspective of being gringa or Dominican because it's like, for me, it's just like being Dominican.
Yeah.
Now here's a Dominicana those CUNY students can look up to. Ana J. Almanzar is one of the most influential Latinas in city government. As New York City's first Dominican deputy mayor, Almanzar has been fighting for equity through education. Correspondent Anny Ruiz Huayamabe sat down with today's Inspiración Latina.
I've never thought of being the first at anything. I mean, I don't want to be the last.
Ana J. Almanzar is a proud Dominican who has made history as one of the highest-ranking officials in the Adams administration.
Thanks for coming to City Hall. Welcome to City Hall. It's always great to have all the Latinas here and sharing this experience.
Born in the Dominican Republic, Ana arrived in New York City as a teenager, worked in a factory, learned English, and eventually became a proud CUNY graduate.
I found myself going to a nonprofit where I learned some English, and then from there I went to CUNY, to Eugenio Maria de Hostos Community College in the Bronx. I used to travel from Bushwick in Brooklyn all the way to the South Bronx because of the bilingual education that Hostos provided.
Almanzar served as the Director of Community Relations at the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation and later as Program Manager for Civic Engagement at NALEO.
Anna, congratulations.
But in 2023, Mayor Eric Adams appointed her as Deputy Mayor, making her the first Dominican to hold the position.
I understood that from my first job in this country, from working in a factory, that I represented my family first, and my dad's last name, my mom's hard work. And now, throughout that entire journey, now I know that I represent beyond my family, an entire community, and perhaps an entire country, and then 8.5 million New Yorkers.
In her role, Ana has expanded opportunities for Black and Latino youth, from bilingual classrooms to STEM labs, while supporting programs that benefit thousands of families.
For our students in general and for our Latino students in specific, that we had created a division within New York City Public Schools, the Division of Inclusive and Accessible Learning, to make sure that our students who are coming in and might not speak English, that they are able to gain the tools and the skills to be able to learn the language and then just continue their path in their education.
And I want to thank every student and family participating in our nation's largest after-school system, and we want to continue on your success. We are invested in your success.
For LATiNAS, I'm Anny Ruiz Huayamabe.
Fighting for environmental justice has been at the forefront for Hennessy Garcia, an Afro-Latina CUNY student from Puerto Rico. She's currently mobilizing people in Brooklyn to push for the closure of a National Grid facility in Greenpoint and have it decommissioned. Let's meet this Latina on the rise.
Hennessy, she or they pronouns. I go here at Medgar Evers College and I'm a senior and I work at a Sane Energy project. I was born and raised in the Bronx. It has some of the highest Puerto Rican population there. So I really have so much love for the Bronx and the Boricuas there. And I think my experience growing up was fine, like just regular Bronx stuff. Like my family was like low income or however you would want to describe that, but they always made do, and I am where I am now because of my family. I would say the Bronx gets the reputation of being dirty, but it only gets that reputation because specifically for the South Bronx, it has a lot of like highways, and there's, at least in the area I grew up in the South Bronx, had like the Cross Bronx Expressway, the Bruckner, the Major Dijon, and the Sheridan Highway going through it. So it's like when you have all these highways, of course, a community like that is going to be polluted. It's going to have a lot of folks who experience asthma, and I know for me, like my entire family experienced asthma. Growing up in the Bronx gave me the language I needed. Like, I understood environmental racism because I grew up in the Bronx, and with my connection to the earth, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate the earth as much as I do now. And it's like, this is our home, we have to take care of it. I guess when I was younger, I was always interested in like the environment. I knew I wanted to be like a scientist, and at the time I was like, I'll be a little astrophysicist, but then I was really keen on like environmental science because I was keen on like environmental hazards and how they work and how they affect our communities and stuff like that. What poisons are entering the air from pollution that are affecting our health from like that scientific point of view. So I was always interested in that when I was younger. I guess which led me into like, okay, we should appreciate the earth more, we should fight for our planet a bit more, we should value people over profit. I think in general, science is political. Like, if you're gonna be a scientist in general, you need to have some form of social justice lens. Like, there is no neutrality in science. Because the thing is, in the actual history of science, you've had white supremacists, you've had eugenicists, you've had racists, you had horrible people in science. And I feel like the most radical people that contributed like incredible inventions, incredible theories, I feel like being a scientist and understanding social justice is like one and the same. So currently we have a campaign going on in Greenpoint at St. Energy where we're fighting National Grid, and they have the largest liquefied natural gas facility in New York State. And it's like 120 acres. It's not really being used, and it deserves to be decommissioned, and the land there deserves to be remediated so that way the community can use it for literally anything else. Like, it should be like a park, should be some form of green space or like more housing for folks in that area, but it's being used to just put poison into the community, and it's literally gross and honestly ugly. As a campaign strategy, what we've done is something called walking tours. So it's like where you just literally bear witness to the actual like facility. So we take people to be like, look, this exists, this is in your neighborhood, are you gonna help us do something about it, in a way to like help educate them, inform them, and hopefully take action. And one of the best things we do in that tour is at the end we have like a dreaming activity of like, what do you envision this site could be? And people come up with a lot of creative things of what the facility could turn into. I tabled here the other day at my school, and folks were like, we could turn it into a stadium or a park. So people come up with really cool and interesting ideas. It's just anything that isn't like an ugly fossil fuel facility. We want it decommissioned, we want it remediated, so that way it's safe for our communities, and honestly the community deserves way better than what they're getting right now.
The environment is alive. Every part depends on the other. Spiritists believe this too, that all living things are connected, bound by an unseen energy that sustains life. In fact, Puerto Rican Spiritistas helped transform society during Puerto Rico's colonial transition from Spain to the United States. Puerto Riqueñas practice Espiritismo Criollo, preserving and passing on indigenous, African, and folk traditions despite colonial oppression. They served as community leaders, healers, and activists, and they still do to this day. Espiritismo, honoring the earth, the ancestors, and the living spirit that connects us all.
I'm currently inside a free exhibition at Queens College called Quinceañera, Dress in Memory and Latina Culture. And it's a tribute to the significance of the Quinceañera tradition. Let's take a walk through the exhibit to learn more.
I'm so excited. I look at it every day. I'm like, can I go back to 15? Just wear it one more time.
CUNY student Stephanie Giraldo de Abreu's Quinceañera dress is not only on display, but was the inspiration for the overall exhibition at the Godwin-Ternbach Museum in Queens.
Would you have ever thought, like years ago, a paper that you broke would have become an exhibition at a museum?
Honestly, no. I didn't think of like a paper would generally become this. I feel like inspiration comes out differently. unbelievable from a paper of just writing about my dress. It was based on a class called Contemporary Dress. And one of the first assignments was, what does dress meant to me? And I mean, I guess everyone wrote about something else. I wrote about my quinceañera dress.
Her tribute was so specific and so detailed. Like, she talked about how the jewels felt, you know, her garlanded, bejeweled waistline, and the texture of the fabric, and how she felt transformed by embodying this dress. And by wearing the dress, the quinceañera embodies this transition from childhood to womanhood. So that just still gives me chills. It was thrilling, and I knew it needed a bigger celebration.
The exhibition features 17 dresses and accompanying accessories that have been worn as part of actual quinceañera celebrations dating back to the 1990s. The items are on loan by members of the Queens Latin American community.
I wanted to manifest this physically so people could come and see the dresses, see the understructure of them, see the volume, the power of them, the sort of architecture of the sartorial splendor, right? And that was tremendously important to me. The other part was the flowers that you see throughout the show that were created by myself and my interns. They are a labor of love and a tribute to the community.
The exhibition also features 6 motion-activated audio interviews with people talking about the significance of the quinceañera tradition in their lives.
And what was tremendously important for me is recording a whole variety of voices within the community. So upstairs we have garlanded portals that you can walk through with motion sensors, so you can hear the stories in snippets of a whole variety of quinceañera experiences.
I picked it up from a local store in Queens. My aunt lived around Forest Hills, so it was a place she knew. My aunt and my mom helped me pick it out.
Each dress has a purpose, so once you wear it, it's a big memory. It's a wonderful moment at the end.
This free exhibit is open to the public through December 18th.
That's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu, follow us on social, or download the CUNY TV app and watch Latinas 24/7. And definitely make sure you tune in next month. We'll celebrate the holiday season Latina style. Uepa! Until then, bye-bye.